G'day everybody and welcome to an exciting episode of Automotive Carnage. Exciting for two reasons. One, we have an awesome new intro to show you, and secondly, we're working on Stalin again, my 92 VP Lexcen. So for those of you who may not know, this is Stalin, my 1992 Toyota Lexcen. It is actually just a hole in Commodore really, which is a commie, hence the name Stalin. This thing I have done quite a bit of work to. It is just a bush hack, but it has the 3.8 litre V6 with a bigger cam in it, chipped ECU, bigger throttle body, dish pistons, a few other little goodies in there. It's had a T5 manual swap done as well. And we have done a bit of a strip out and race interior, so we have the Bride racing seat in there, Sparco deep dish wheel, JDM goodness on the knob, and it's all started by switches. So this thing is a bit of a love project of mine. It's the first car I started modifying on this channel, and as you can see, it's been bashed around a bit and needs a bit of love on it. So last time I took it out for a drive, I ended up wrapping a blanket up in the drive shaft, so we got to cut that off. We have 411 diffs and an LSD center to go in it. What else do we have to do? Oh, we got to fix the power steering pump, which is leaking all over the engine. But first, we're going to give it a bit of a degrease. We're going to clean out the leak in the engine. This has leaked power steering fluid absolutely everywhere in there. Oh, and some dude offered me money for the boot, so yeah, I sold that. Put a bit of money put back in the project. But anyway, let's start with giving a bit of a basic clean. Boys and girls, it's not rusty, it's patinaed. Okay, so now we have Stalin back into the shed, we can finally do some long overdue work to the poor thing. I've thrashed this thing out in the bush quite a few times and I've neglected it every single time afterwards. So it's time now to show it a little bit of love. So we've made a list of everything that I want to get done to this car to bring it up to the way I want it for now, until I get sick of it. But anyway, first we need to remove that blanket that's in the drive shaft. Now I did a bit of a burnout the other day and half of it's over there in the garden, so that makes that a little bit easier. We need to replace the power steering pump because it's leaking like a sieve. I have the oil pressure sensor that I need to put in. I have run the wiring already and there's a spot next to the water temperature gauge inside for the oil pressure gauge to go. We just need to actually put in the sensor and the adapter, and we're going to just chuck out the knock sensor because we don't need that. We need to drift stitch the bumper because every time you take it for a drive the bumper wants to flop around and fall off, so we need to fix that up. I really want to cut the immobilizer out. I have to play with this stupid little aftermarket chipboard to make the car work, and this thing was sitting out in the rain for a while, and now that chipboard is real corroded and it's really hard to get started. And if I don't get that working, because it's got a fuel pump cut on it, we can't start the car. So it's on its way out. We need to cut it out before it completely immobilizes this car. Give it an oil change because I've never done that in its life. Flush out the radiator because it's turned brown. Refit the exhaust. On one of my other videos, we took out the boys from All Ford Motors. We ended up dropping the exhaust and it came flying off. Luckily, we were able to salvage it, find it, and it's all there, so we just need to bolt it back up. This time, I'll use proper bolts though, and not just head studs, because that didn't quite work. Where are we? Refit exhaust. Fit the new diff. As I said, we have an LSD out of an EL Ford. EL Ford? EF Ford? Something like that. Which they use the same diff centers. They're all the Borg Warner 28 spline, I think it is. So I've been told that if I take that diff center, it will fit straight into a live axle in the back of this thing. So that's a factory LSD 3.08, something similar kind of ratio. which doesn't matter actually because we have 411s out of Nissan Skyline to bolt to it, so we should then, yeah, we'll get up and boogie them with 411s in the rear. We need to secure the bonnet pins. They're starting to, the screw, especially on that side, is starting to come out and potential for the bonnet to come flying out, so we need to make that safe. Modify the hood and grille. I got something kind of cool for you guys, but I'm not going to tell you what it is until we get time to actually pull it on, because it's awesome. We need to paint the door. I always said that with Stalin, we'll end up with a hammer and sickle on the door of this thing, so we need to do that. Our fan. The fans don't kick in from factory, so I've got a little switch in there which is dodgy as, and you've got to do it by manually plugging it in, and it drains the battery, and so I want to put it onto a switch. So we'll run the cabling for that and put a switch in on our center console next to our ignition switches, and then cover the tunnel hole. So inside, when I did the 5-speed conversion, I never actually covered in the hole from where the automatic and the stick actually comes out, so I need to make a bit of sheet metal there. Be kind of cool if we could get a H-gate going on, but I don't think my fabrication skills are that good, so we just need a bit of a panel to stop all the fumes coming in and the stones and all that kind of stuff, so we need to do that. Also, and I just remembered the alternator. We need to make sure that the alternator is charging, because the batteries die so quick on this thing and it makes it a bugger to get it started once you're out in the bush. So I'll write that on there, and then when I come back from my shift at work, we'll get all this work done.
Alright, so here we are underneath Stalin, and that's our blanket wrapped around the drive shaft. It looks like a scene from a Teddy Chainsaw Massacre or something along those lines. Really should not have done that burnout with that blanket on there. It's a lot worse than I thought it was. Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it off. It's a bit hard to film and work under here at the same time, so I'm going to go ahead, as I said, cut her off, and yeah, I'll bring you back when we're done. That's where the exhaust is ending at the moment, just at the cat, so we need to find some bolts because we lost those on the track. Put some bolts so we can bolt all that back in, and we're going to have to make some extra hangers to hold it in place. But anyway, let me cut that off and let's cut to how it looks now. And boom, just like that, the whole drive shaft is gone. Oh, okay then. No, so what's happened is, I'll show you, well, you can just see it there actually, the drive shaft, and that white bit there is the center bearing, and it is totally clogged up in the center bearing. So I've had to take it out so I can cut the blanket off a bit easier. But you can also see the snout of the diff is very wet. And what's happened, if we get in close enough, oh, not too close, spin this around, but the actual material has been jammed behind the dust cap here, and it has damaged the seal and it is leaking really bad. So we're going to be rebuilding this diff sooner than anticipated. So I don't think it was a blanket actually, I think it was a couch cover. It's very thick material with a big foamy layer in between it all. And it's absolutely a mess. I don't know how I didn't miss this, man. Like, it's massive. Okay, so it's a bit late at night to be hammering around underneath the back of the car in that diff area. We've gone to a point now where we just need to knock the axle out, and then we can test fit the axle spline to make sure it fits up with our Ford diff center. Now, I have been told they are both 28 spline Bog Warner diffs, so there shouldn't be a problem there. So, because it's late at night, I don't want to be waking up the neighbours and hitting hammers against metal and that. It's just not very nice. So we've moved into the engine bay here. We have decided to work on replacing the power steering pump. And I found something a little bit interesting. What it looks like has happened is that there's a little O-ring that sits between the inlet here where the reservoir goes into, and that O-ring was severely damaged. So there's a lot of mess around the top here, or at least there was before I cleaned it up. Around the top of the power steering pump, so which leads me to believe it's been leaking out of here and then dripping down and making all sorts of mess. So I've cleaned it all up so we can test that theory, cleaned up the high pressure hose to make sure it's not leaking out of there. So all we're going to do is put a nice brand new O-ring into here, and then just pretty much get bolt it all back together, and we'll keep an eye on it and see if that fixes our leak. If not, we'll go ahead and pull this all off next time I get serviced on this car. So after that, what else we got on our list here? We've got quite a bit to do. We have completely removed the blanket out of all drive shaft areas.
So then we'll move down to drift stitching the bumper. We can do that relatively quietly. You cannot comprehend how great it makes me feel to know that bumper is no longer going to pop off randomly. It's one of those tiny little things that make no difference to how the car drives, but man, does it bug me every time I see it popped off. But now, we got some mean drift stitching going on, so they ain't never coming off. Unless I hit a tree and then I have to restitch it. Anyway, we moved on to another quiet job, and that was spark plugs. I realised I never actually checked the plugs in this car since I've been driving it, and I found something rather interesting. Now, this one here is from a perfectly good cylinder. Right, so that's got a really good burn on it. It's really clean. It's really well, it's really what a spark plug needs to be. It's beautiful. It's nice and tidy. Now, look at, compare that one to these two. And this came out of cylinder 3. This one came out of cylinder 6. They have never sparked in their life. So effectively, my Buick V6 has actually been a Buick V4, and I've never noticed. It just runs that well on 4 cylinders. Who knew? So what's interesting is that these two plugs run off the same coil, which is this one up here. So it leads me to believe that this coil is dead. The problem with a Series 1 Buick is that all 3 of them need to be replaced when only one is dead. So I'm going to look at doing a Series 2 coil conversion. Hopefully there's not too much involved in that. That will give us a bit better performance, and also it will be a lot easier to replace coils, because on the Series 2 you can replace individual coils at a time if one happens to die in the future. So that's kind of good news and bad news. It's good news because it means that this car is going to go faster when we're done, but it's bad news because now I got to do another major job before the weekend. To keep moving on though, I'm now moving on to wiring in our fan switch correctly. I did a bodge job just to try to keep the temperatures down, but I'm going to cut it out and put it on a nice switch inside the cabin. Well, you win some and you lose some, guys. In my rush to change these diffs over, I pulled the old one out without first looking at the new one. And these are our 2 pinions. This is the 3.08 that came out of Stalin, and this is the 411 that was meant to be replacing it. Now if you notice, there's a very crucial part missing between these two, and that is the main bearing. I never realized that the main bearing wasn't even on here. The guy sent me the casing that it goes into, but the bearing itself has actually been chopped off with a grinder, and there is actually a nasty gouge line there somewhere. Yeah, nice big gouge line there where they've put the grinder in. So, really annoyed, but I cannot put my 411s in tonight. Okay, so after last night's disaster with the diff, which I'm rather annoyed about, yeah, how many of you guys were watching and foresaw that coming? That diff is unfortunately in pieces, and I don't know how I'm going to get back together. So, I'm out here now in my local wrecker, which happens to be just out in the bush, and there's a couple of VN to VRs here that have the same live axle diff. I'm just going to replace the whole thing from hub to hub. We're going to take the whole lot and we're just going to change it over. This way it gives me an extra housing to rebuild the diff properly with the gears and the LSD that I want. But for now, I have an event on tomorrow. I just have to get this car running. So we're just going to look around here and try find a diff that will fit our car. And yeah, just slap it in. So let's go shopping. Okay, so we know that we cannot use a wagon or a ute diff as they have loose springs and there are different picking up points. Now underneath here we have the right generation. It does have a live axle. It's dirty, but it's there. The problem is that the ute's trying to mate with it, and that's going to be a bit of a mission to get it out. Alright, let's keep looking around here. We've got a couple more over this way. Ew, what's this? Look, this has already been pulled out. Nope, that's off a big 4-wheel drive. That's way too big. Okay, what's this? Look, I don't know my Hollands that well. I know that you've got VRs and VSs that look the same. That's... yeah, that's what we want. That's a live axle. Okay, that could work. That could be easy to pull over. Is it a VR or a VS? It should be a VR if it's got a live axle. VR. Alright, we could roll that one.
That's a Ute. That's two new. What's this one over here? A couple of 3.8s just lying around. Okay, what we got in here? Yep, live axle as well. Pick up points in the right spot. This one should be easy to flip over. Alright, so this is a Series 2 VR. This might be the goal. It's going to be the easiest to flip over. That's for sure. Someone's using the gearbox on the transmission as a prop to hold the damn thing up. That's quite amusing. But anyway, we'll get the Ute in and let's flip this sucker over.
Hi, me again from the future. So this is where you're meant to see me rolling the car over onto its roof to chop the diff out, but as I said, the camera deleted the footage. I'm really sorry about that. It was epic. It was so good. Anyway, let's go back into the past now and you guys can at least see me chop the diff out.
Okay everyone, so this is another portion of our local pick apart, and we really do have a wide selection of vehicles here to choose from. But as you can see over the back here, we've got a couple of VNs and a VR, so heaps of 3.8 parts to choose from. They're all pretty well wrecked, but we're going to go for, well, what we need? We need a boot and we need little clips to hold the alternator and injector plugs on. Oh no, that's cool. Someone's had a crack at opening this with an axe. I want this boot. What was the, oh! I think I just found the axe that I tried using to open the boot. Coils are gone. So, oh, beauty! Not only are there coils, but they're Series 1. Same as what's in Stalin. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to work on getting those out, get our little clips, try to get the boot off of that red one, and I'll get back to you when I've sorted it out. And just like that, the VR diff is in. Yeah, well, it wasn't quite that easy. Last night, me and a good friend absolutely hustled and we got it in there. First time I've ever changed a whole diff over, and the first time he's done anything mechanical. So it was great fun actually. And again, mate, thank you so much for coming around and giving me a hand with that. There's no way I would have been able to do it without you. So today is Australia Day, and today is the day that we have our event on. And we're going out to the abandoned speedway track and we're going to go do some skids Australia style, or some burnout, sorry. As you can see, we've got our boot on there that's been attacked by an axe, which is awesome. We've got the new coils in and the car sounds amazing, but you're just going to have to wait and trust me on that one. And we come over to our list and we've actually done quite a lot, and this is really great stuff. So we've removed the blanket, we've fixed the power steering pump, we're not going to put the pressure sensor in yet. We've just stitched the bumper. The immobilizer can wait, along with the oil change. We might be able to get a chance to flush the radiator today. We've put the exhaust in, we've put the new diff in. We've secured the bonnet pins down. We're not going to modify the hood because we don't have time. Again, don't have time to paint the door. We've put the fan on the switch. We probably won't cover the tunnel hole. The alternator, now we've found out where that wire goes, kind of, and it still doesn't charge properly. So that's alright, that will work for today. We've put the SS induction kit in, we've checked the plugs obviously, and we've changed the coils from that. Not going to do the gasket, and we just need to put a battery clamp in there. Okay, so I'm just going to tidy up Stalin a little bit. We're going to put some diff oil in there, we'll probably flush that radiator out, and we'll get it ready to race. So the next time you guys will see it will be in the next video where we go out to the abandoned speedway track. We have about 4 cars coming out, and we're going to go absolutely smash it and fang it around. We have a Ford Falcon that's coming, and that thing is going to die, absolutely die. And if we don't kill it, then I might know where there's a V8 we could chuck into it. But that's another story. Let's get this car out to the track. See you guys in the next one.